Hi there once again. This is a serial cynic. I started this video earlier, but didn't realize that the storage here was full on my phone, so crapped out with me right in the middle. Well, it did warn me, but still learning this whole iPhone business here. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different, even though I did speak about it before in one of my earlier videos. Now, I don't know what brought you here to watch this video. Hopefully you did a search and it brought you here and you can share it with your friends and so forth along the way. But today I want to talk about Guyana. And it's going to be a little bit different because I was searching through some videos. I've looked at quite a bit of videos about Guyana. And I just haven't seen one particular type of video. Now, there's another person who's done a video like what I'm about to do right now, but different. How should I put it? Let's see. Okay. I am from the U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm from St. Thomas. That's where I am from. And I can tell you this much that growing up, even into my adult life, Guyana was not one of the places in my mind that I thought that I would ever visit. There was no appeal to me to go to a place like Guyana. Now, I am not one of those people who was completely naive. Of course, I was naive when I was much younger, but for quite some time, I've known at least a little bit about Guyana. No, I wasn't one of those people who thought it was Ghana. I knew it was in South America. I knew its capital was Georgetown, and I knew some history about it because I love the Caribbean. So I tend to read a lot of different places, read about a lot of different places when it comes to the Caribbean. But unlike the U.S. Virgin Islands, and even though Guyana is a part of the Caribbean community, even though it is in South America, it does not get the kind of love that other places in the Caribbean get. And for example, like I'm from the U.S. Virgin Islands. We're basically some small little islands, but we have some amazing beaches. But we're small little islands. You just drive from one, and before you know it, you're there in 15 minutes. And you cross the whole island already. Okay, a little bit more. But Guyana is not like that. But one of the things that despite our islands being so small, we do get a lot of foot traffic from visitors because we are a popular cruise port in the Caribbean. And we have the beaches to attract them. And we have the duty-free shopping to attract them. Same can be said about Jamaica. Same can be said about the Dominican Republic. Same can be said about St. Martin and St. Kitts, where I was raised, that has now become a competitor when it comes to cruise ships. So you have these big, massive boats bringing in millions of people who come by the islands, who come through. Some learn, some remember, some take a deep interest in these places, so they know about it. Guyana doesn't have that. Guyana every now and again may have a excursion cruise that may show up down there, but that doesn't happen too often. So generally the people that know about Guyana are Guyanese themselves. And you may have some intrepid folks from Europe or from Australia or wherever who may show up in Guyana but immediately are whisked off into the interior to go to look at nature because Guyana has a lot of that. And that's what they may do. But for the most part, that's about it. And you may see a video or videos about Guyana, but it's usually a Guyanese who's doing the video. Usually something humorous. You may find some people on there singing. Every now and again, you might have someone who may be doing a video on something that is, like a local issue. Like there's someone by the name of Francis Michael Bailey. I look at a lot of his videos, but it's generally highlighting an issue that's going on down there. Where I want to make this video different, it's different in this regard. I am from a Caribbean island. And I have connections to other Caribbean islands like St. Kitts and Nevis where my parents are from. One from St. Kitts, one from Nevis. So I am a Caribbean person, not a Guyanese, but I am a Caribbean person giving a review on Guyana. Now, yes, there are other people who have given their reviews. But a lot of times what I've noticed, it's maybe people who are of Guyanese descent, living in England, living in Canada, who go home to the country, where their parents come from. And here they are now giving a review of their experience and so forth. You may have someone doing an educational video because they're doing a video series on different countries, and it comes around to Guyana and they give you the little interesting things about Guyana and so forth. So they're there, they're staying at a hotel, they go out, they look at certain things, they pull the different facts about Guyana, and that's what their video is about. Where it's going to be different with me is I am a person that have been to Guyana 6 times. 6 times, and you'll find out the reason why. But I've been down there 6 times, and I've really taken in the place. Stayed in amongst the folks, not staying at a hotel or some resort hidden away somewhere. I actually went there and I guess you can say lived the experience of Guyana. And here is how it came about. A friend of mine, a Jamaican friend of mine that I had known for years, one day he called me up and he said, hey, let's start a Facebook page talking about the Caribbean because he knows how much I love the Caribbean. So he was going to be the guy staying behind the scenes and I was going to be the one putting the content out there. So one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to, on Saturdays, to have a little fun at our expense as Caribbean people. So if there's something I knew about a particular Caribbean island or nation, something that they're known for, I was going to highlight it and we were going to poke fun at it, in good nature, mind you. But interestingly enough, Guyana was one of the first that came up that I started doing this with. And the reason for that, it's not because I knew a lot about Guyana, knew much about it to say I can poke fun at it like I would be more familiar with Antigua or St. Kitts or Jamaica because they're in the upper Caribbean and around my region. So I happen to know a lot of Antiguans because they live in the Virgin Islands, or I know a lot of people from Dominica because they live in the Virgin Islands or St. Lucia or whatever, and you could observe certain things. Yes, they're Guyanese there, but when I was growing up as a little boy there in St. Thomas, I didn't know too many. But sure, I knew Antiguans, I knew Catitians, I knew people from St. Martin, I knew people from the British Virgin Islands, all these other places because they're nearby. So anyway, how it came up about Guyana was my friend, the one who was staying behind the scenes, decided to put up a video one day. And I did not know, because he's not the type of person that's into Facebook. So he put up the video. I'm like, where did that video come from? Who put that up? Because I know him not to really go on Facebook that much. So he said to me, that's me, man. I'm just me just putting up a video of a friend of mine, a Guyanese. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I looked at the video and I noticed the video was about some young people in Guyana who were interested in keeping Guyana clean. So their mission was to go around cleaning the various drains and everything, weeding out some of the things and all the stuff that's blocking the waterways down there, at least in the Georgetown area. So one of the people in the video happened to be one of his friends, the friend that he was talking about. And I happened to see the video and I was just like, okay, didn't really think much of it. Happened to see, and she was there talking. She was like the spokesperson. So I happened to see the video. I was like, oh, that's nice. And I started thinking that would be great in the Virgin Islands, for our young people to take such an interest in cleaning up and so forth. It would be great. So that's all I pretty much thought about it. But because he happened to put Guyana in my mind, I said, let me go ahead and set up Guyana. So the thing that I did with Guyana in terms of poking fun at it, I came on the page and I said, Guyana is one of those places that I don't think I will ever go to because it's like Australia where all the animals are trying to kill you. Now, what I had known about Guyana, it's on the fringes of the Amazon rainforest, the northern fringes. And because it's there, when I think of the Amazon jungle, all I think of are poisonous animals. That's all I think about. And a bunch of reptiles. Okay, so I'm thinking about anacondas and boa constrictors and a million different poisonous snakes, jaguars and everything that's want to kill you, and big gigantic tarantulas and whatever. That's all that was going through my mind. And it just so happened that when I was poking fun at this, I saw an article from out of Guyana where they showed you a community where people were holding, I guess it was a 20-foot anaconda, and they were standing in the street, the width of the street, and one side is holding the head, the other side is holding the tail, well, the other end. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, see, that's the reason why I'm not going down there. I'm not going down there because I don't want to see something like that, because I will run to the airport and get back on a flight. I do not like reptiles. Just can't stand them. They crawl my skin. So I'm not into iguanas, I'm not into lizards, and I'm not into alligators. Ironically, I happen to grow up on an island, St. Thomas, where we have lizards and a lot of iguanas, which crawls my skin. So here I'm going to go to a place like Guyana, much larger, and I'm just thinking that these things are just like in the bushes. Every time you step outside, there's a snake looking to bite you, or there's an anaconda looking to, crush you or something like that. So I'm there freaking out. So while I'm there carrying on, of course, it was done in good nature, but in the back of my mind, I'm saying, yeah, it's serious. I'm not going to a place like that. So while I'm there carrying on, someone comes in and challenges me and said, hey, Guyana is not like that, at least not, in the coastal areas where most of the people live, the Georgetown area, you don't really see that type of stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, right. And she's going on, she said, oh, you should come down to Guyana, you should come and visit. And I'm like, yeah, okay, right, just furthest thing from my mind. But anyway, while she was doing that, we were going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that person happened to be the same person who was in that video. But I didn't really make the connection at the time. And she was just telling me about her mom working for the tourism board. And if I ever come down to Guyana, I'll see the beauty of the country and so forth. But again, in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, right, Guyana, going down there. Snake's not going to kill me down there. So I figured I'm not going to go. Anyway, it turned out that from that conversation, it led to another conversation. And would you believe it or not, I want to say about a few weeks later, we started talking a little bit more intensely. And this was like in May of a particular year, 5 years ago. And about 3 or 4 months later, we were an item. Funny. Became an item, and she became my girlfriend. So we kept talking, and it was just going very, very well. And I must say that she is drop dead gorgeous. Now, when I first saw her, I wasn't looking at her like that. I noticed, I said, oh, she's pretty, but didn't really think much of it. I'm thinking, here is a woman, almost 3,000 miles away from here, in another country that I don't ever plan to visit. And she's way over there, I'm way over here. So, of course, nothing else went beyond that other than observation that she was actually rather pretty. So, we started talking, and now we become an item. So, as we started talking, realized that her birthday was going to be in the following year in the month of February. So we kept talking. Everything was feeling right and feeling good and everything. So then I decided, you know what? Maybe I should go down there, Her birthday's coming up. We're doing pretty well. This relationship is going really nice. I know it's a long distance relationship. It's going really well. Maybe I could take an opportunity to go to, I said, you know what? Hey, go down to a place you've never been to. So I got up and I decided to go down to Guyana in February of 2014, her birth month. So I go down and landed, and now the experience begins. Now, you have to understand, I might be a little bit different from a lot of other people. There are people go on vacation because they want to lay on the beach, and I enjoy that. When I go home to St. Thomas, where I'm from, that's what I want to do. But I'm also a country boy at heart, because I was raised on the island of St. Kitts, and I was raised in a rural area. I was raised in an area known for cane. There was sugar cane all around us. Our village was like in the middle here, and there's cane fields all around us, right up against the mountain slopes. So I grew up with that mentality of the rural life that has never left me, that I just really enjoy. I just love that. So other people will be like, oh no, I need some air conditioner, or mosquitoes biting me. No, I need to have this, I need to have cold this, I need to have that, I need to have the creature comforts. As old as I've gotten, and as much as I can deal with the creature comforts, when I go to those types of places where it reminds me of where I was as a little boy. Those things mean so much to me. So when I landed in Guyana, this beautiful lady came to the airport to get me, and we head home. And when I get to her community, I don't know how to say it, but it was just like I just felt so at home. I just felt so at home. I just felt so at home. So all of a sudden, it was like, wow, this place is resonating with me already just from just being in her community. So I go through, and we go down the road. It's a dirt road, potholes all over the place. Of course, there are modern homes on both sides, but in between you had older homes, and you see them up on their stilts, wooden houses, and they're up on stilts because Guyana, as you would find out, as I'm going to talk about later on, the coastline is below sea level. So you find a lot of beautiful homes going down the road, but the road is just a hot mess. Now, in her mind, she said she was worried that I was going to be like, oh, get me back on a flight. Hey, I'm from the big city, New York. I want to get back over there. Oh, I have all these modern amenities. I'm coming over here. Potholes, like New York doesn't have any. Dirt roads and, whatever. I'm going to want air conditioner. It's like 1,000,000 degrees down here. But I felt so at home. So we go, and we're there, and kicked open the door and just feeling the breeze and hearing the birds. Like I actually was listening and hearing birds and everything. And I'm like, wow, this is great. And then the night comes in, and I look up and I see 1,000,000 stars in the sky. Things that I don't see over here at all. I go outside right now, I'll be lucky if I can see a star. But these things fascinate me because when I was growing up as a little boy in St. Kitts, as a little boy, as a real little boy, we didn't have electricity. I didn't grow up with any of that, so my life was beneath a kerosene lamp, and my entertainment was going outside and looking at the skies, looking at the night, looking at the night sky, and looking at the stars, the bright moon, and looking at it glistening on the Atlantic Ocean down the street from where we were. So when I got there to Guyana, it was like, wow, it's like taking me back to my childhood. So I felt so alive and so at home. I felt rejuvenated. And then the touring started. So she takes me to a garden. We went driving out. She took me around, we went different places there in the Georgetown area. And we went to this particular garden. And I don't remember. We just walked around the garden, took a few pictures, took some video of her and everything like that. And we're there just frolicking around. Walked around Georgetown, certain parts of Georgetown, just looking at different things. But while I was there, because I'm the type of person, I'm rather observant. So I'm looking, and and maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm a photographer, because a photographer sees things, your eye sees things that other people don't see, or see the beauty in something, or see the purpose in something that other people don't see. So a photographer, of course, is not just somebody who just takes pictures. Yeah, we can take selfies all day. But you happen to walk down the street and notice a flower that no one else happens to notice. The way that it blooms, or it has bloomed, or the way that it's leaning, or the color that it gives off. Or you may see a building, the way that it looks, and so forth. You just see certain things that other people don't see. And as a photographer, you bring that out. Well, going to Guyana, this is what I was doing. And this is what I do whenever I go anywhere. So I'm walking and I'm watching the buzz of life in Georgetown. I'm watching the colorfulness of the people. I'm just watching people going back and forth, going about their daily lives, and the buzz and the hum of everything that's going on. And it's just like, wow, this is nice. This is really, really nice, And I'm just watching all the vehicles going by with the Guyanese flag. And because I happened to be there around this thing known as Mashramani, which is like their, it's not their Republic Day. I forgot what it is, but it's one of the celebrations down there. It's something like a carnival, so to speak. So there were a lot of flags just all over the place. Everywhere I look, I would just see these Guyanese flags, small ones, big ones, hanging, draping all over the place. And I'm like, wow, this is great. I could just feel the culture just coming out and just slapping me in the face. You're in Guyana. So I felt so good about that. So here I am walking with my girlfriend and just really enjoying the place. And one of the things that we did on this first trip, well, her birthday was also coming up. So we went out to a restaurant to eat. And then we went to another location. We went to somewhere else to hang out with some of her friends and so forth. But one of the highlights of this trip was we happened to go over. She mentioned something to me known as the Harbor Bridge, and I had no idea what that was or where it was. So she mentioned to me, and she says, "Oh, it's the largest, I guess, pontoon floating bridge in the world, or something along that line, where the bridge is actually not, how should I put it? Like you have bridges here that the foundations go down below the surface of the water, and it's grounded down, maybe on the banks of whatever river the bridge is crossing over. Well, down there, this bridge actually is floating on pontoons. So me and my curious self, we decide we want to go there. So we go down to the pontoon bridge, and we get off the taxi, and we start walking. And I said, "How far is this?" She said, "About 10 minutes, you know." And when we got on the bridge, I happened to look, and it's like I could just see, like, way down. It's more than 10 minutes. The other interesting thing was, here I am thinking that because the Georgetown area, and this place is not too far outside Georgetown, I'm thinking that there will be like tons of people walking back and forth. When I looked around, there was probably about 5 people we passed. So I felt kind of stupid because it's like, whoa, everybody's driving, and here we are just walking across this bridge. And we walked and we walked. We got to the middle, and it's like we still kept going. Now, this bridge crosses over the Demerara River, which is one of the major rivers there in Guyana. The river comes all the way from, I want to say, maybe about 400 miles from the interior, and comes all the way up to Georgetown, where Georgetown happens to be on its eastern shore. So we go crossing over this river, and I'm just looking, and you have to understand, I've flown over large rivers like the Mississippi, but I've never really been up to the mouth of a large river like the Demerara, and that's not even the Guyana's largest river by far. So I'm just looking at this massive span of brown water, and just watching the rapids come down, and I'm just watching it. So again, these kind of things fascinate me. So we get all the way to the other end eventually, and then we decide to jump on a taxi and come back, and that was an experience unto itself. So that was my first trip down there, and it was exciting, and it was a beautiful experience with my new girlfriend. Beautiful experience. So it was so beautiful that 2 months later I was back in Guyana, and I go back down there again, and this was a surprise to her, because she didn't think she was going to see me at least for a while again. I think she knew in the back of her mind that things worked out well with us, and that I was going to come back at some point. But now you're talking about more intense feelings, and now here I'm going to go almost 3,000 miles away. When will I ever be able to make it back again? But about 2 months later, I made the sacrifice, and I went back again. And I went down, and things were just going so well. If I remember with that trip, there was a big thing that happened, but one of the nice things was we went this time around to an area south of Georgetown, probably about 60 miles down the Demerara River, known as Linden. And Linden is, I think, Guyana's second largest city, if I'm not mistaken. And we go down to Linden, and Linden happens to be where she was born, even though she spent most of her life in Georgetown. So we go down to Linden, and we go to visit her grandmother's house. Her grandmother's house is up on a hill somewhere, and she's building this new house, tearing down the childhood home that my girlfriend happened to have known, which was a wooden house. Now this was a stone, a wall structure, and the interesting thing was she didn't have any windows as yet, and there was no door either, and the house is full of people, cousins and so forth, and we spent a night there with no windows, no doors, and no one bothered us. No one broke in, no one did anything. But the experience was so great because one of the things that happened down there in Linden, it just rained buckets of water. And that's one of the things about Guyana. Here in New York, it rains, and if you don't even look outside, you wouldn't even know it's raining because you don't hear anything. Over there, I mean, big clumps of just rain drops falling out of the sky, slamming into the roof. I slept like a baby that first night. Got up in the morning. Rain is still coming down so heavy that I actually took a shower in the rain with my girlfriend. We literally stood in the rain and took a shower. That's how hard and how it just came down in such volume that it felt like a shower on top of you. And then I think the next night we actually turned on a pipe and actually showered or took a bath in the darkness, with a pipe, just water just coming right out of it from right out of the earth. And this again, another thing that amazed me. And I think the day earlier in the day we went for a walk, and we're walking, and I'm just watching water just bubbling up out of the earth, just water you can drink, just bubbling up out of the earth, fresh spring water just coming right up out of the earth. And I'm sitting there just fascinated by this. I'm looking at all the brown dirt down there because the soil is rich with bauxite. And it was just such a great experience as the rains came down. It was just, again, I slept like a baby. That rain just, oh, it was amazing. So we went to Linden, and then we came back up, came back to Georgetown. I think we did a couple of other things while we were there. But it was during that trip that I decided that I want to ask her to marry me. And she said yes. And so from that trip, now the planning stages come for marriage. And we shot for her birthday in the following year, which was 2015. But then we sort of realized we might have to push it a month later. And we ended up getting married on March 15th. I'm sorry, March 21st, a month after her birthday, 2015. So then I did not go back to Guyana for another 10 months after that trip. So I was grueling during that time. But we made it back over there, and we had ourselves a fantastic wedding. But since this video is going towards 30 minutes already, I don't want to bore you too much. So I know I'm talking about my personal life here, but as I'm talking about my personal life, I'm weaving in how we came to be and what Guyana came to mean to me and what my assessment of Guyana is. So my wife, she is a gorgeous woman, and I know that a lot of people come in contact with Guyanese people, like I did. Most of the times you see them and they're more of the Indo-European stock. So you sometimes sit back and wonder, are there black people down there? Yes, there are. My wife, yeah, she's not Indo-Guyanese. She is exotic looking, yes. Very, very, very appealing to the eyes. Let me show it to you. So I have to keep talking. I don't know if you can see this, but this is one of our wedding pictures. Well, her at the wedding. So that's what she looks like there. Yeah, she has tons of hair in her head, and she just has the most beautiful features. But that is my beautiful wife right there. So she is what I went to Guyana for. And she has just been just bliss. Beautiful. And I'm sure that's probably one of the reasons why Guyana appeals to me so much. But even if she was just a friend of mine, I went to Guyana, I think I would still enjoyed it as much as I have so far. So what I'm going to do, I didn't know I was going to probably have to break this video up, but I'm just going to make this part one, because I still have to tell you my assessment about Guyana and how I feel about it. Already you know that I love the place. You know that I really love it. You can just tell by how I talk about it. But there's just so much more to be said about it. So if you're looking at this video right now, you never thought about going to Guyana. Again, it's not for everyone. So let me just get this in. It is not for everyone. If you're going to go there because you think you want to go to the beach, you hear it's the Caribbean and you think you're going to go down there and be hanging out, and Guyana is not known for that. And there's a reason why it's not known for that. But there's things that you can do there. If you think you want to go down there and find like a big long strip of just clubs and bars like Miami Beach or Cancun or whatever, with big hotels and, you know, like 50-foot hotels, 50-story hotels and so forth, you're not going to really find that in Guyana. Yes, they do have a couple of hotels like that, but you're not going to really find that down there. Again, because they're not catering towards those type of tourists. But it is a place that, if you're like me, you want a feel of old world charm, and I'm not saying that Guyana is old all over. There's a bunch of beautiful homes and a bunch of modern buildings and everything there. But if you want that old world feel, or if you're the type of person that's into nature and you want to go out there into the interior and you want to go into the forest and so forth, or you love river communities where you just want to be around a river and so forth, it's there for you. But yes, you do have the clubs. You do have places where people party, have massive homes where there are big parties being thrown in people's backyards and so forth. So you can enjoy yourself if that's what you're looking for. So a lot of people go down there who may go to Guyana. It's because their Guyanese friend is getting married or their Guyanese best friend is getting married and they're part of the wedding and they may end up going down there. But it's a lot more to it than that. So I guess in part two, I'll talk some more about those type of things. But for right now, so far, I am at what? March of 2015, and that's my third trip to Guyana. I have three more trips that I made. And I'm here looking to start another one, to take another one again. But again, I am a Virgin Islander, here giving an assessment or a review about Guyana. My wife is right up there, by the way. This is my daughter's room, and she has a picture of my wife up there somewhere. Right there. Okay? You guys probably can't see it. But anyway, I'll end this video right now. Just stick around for part two, which I'll upload at some point. But let me just go ahead and upload this one right now. And thank you for coming in and looking at this video. And for those of you who are from Guyana and you're looking in, I hope I'm doing your country proud. I hope I'm not butchering it or whatever the case might be. And I hope it makes you feel good that at least one person from another part of the Caribbean has a great appreciation for the country and for the people who were there. And you gave me a beautiful present, my wife. Okay? Anyway, this is Cyril Cynic. I'll end this video right now and look out for part two. Okay? Have a good night.